Okay, today we're going to make it simple. We're going to learn how to prune a indeterminate tomato plant. And just for clarity, there's two types or two different species of tomato plants. There's those that are determinate, typical tomato plant that doesn't get over 2 or 3 feet tall. We're all used to seeing those. The indeterminate tomato plant, just to be clear, they can grow up to 9, 10 foot tall, and they have to be trellised. For example, in this high tunnel, we are able to trellis these because we have a structure that we can run the trellising lines off of. So that's an indeterminate tomato. When we prune these, we try to keep them to a single leader. That is a single growth shaft that goes all the way up. The branches and everything come off of it. So whenever we prune a indeterminate tomato, here's the thing to always remember after it's been trellised is you start at the bottom and work your way up. So my wife Mindy's behind the camera today, so let's start at the bottom. These I purposely left them, they're just an absolute mess, and that's going to give us a chance to be able to learn how to prune these indeterminate tomatoes. So the first thing we learn, these are sun leaves, are the leaves that absorb the energy and allow it to be able to grow. These at the bottom, once we start getting 2, 3 foot tall, these are just not even necessary anymore. All they're doing is just taking up energy. They're taking growth away from future tomatoes, and we really don't need them. So the first thing we're going to do is any kind of growth at the bottom, we're going to take it off. The next thing we're looking for are side shoots. Some people call them side shoots, some call them suckers. The reason they're called suckers is they sucker you into thinking that's the main part of the plant. So Mindy, if you'll zoom in right here, we have one of our first suckers. You can see this little side shoot right here, and we want to take it and clip it off. So to come up the plant just for a second, I want to show you something. What's the difference between a sunleaf and a sucker? Mindy, if you'll come in right here and zoom in on this, this is a perfect example of it right here. If you look at a sunleaf, you can see it's broad, it's open, it's coming up, and right next to it is a side shoot or a sucker, and you can always tell because their leaves tend to be a little bit more cloistered or clustered together. So what I do, and I'll come around on this side, sunleaf, we want to leave it because that's adding the sunlight that's needed for the growth of this plant. But the sucker is going to grow out, and suckers will go out and become their own individual, starting to produce fruit. Let's show you a perfect example of a side shoot. Mindy, let's come over here. Here's a sucker that completely got out of hand. You can see this sucker right here is it comes down to the bottom of this tomato plant. You can see it starts here. Mindy, if you'll back out, you can see it's actually starting its own growth and becoming almost like its own separate plant. So we want to come in and take that off. So here's the final takeaway. As we go back to this plant, we're going to come up and look for any suckers or any side shoots. We see a large one right here. Let's go ahead, clip that out. And so what tells us that it's okay to clip those? As we come up, we're always looking for fruit. And when I say fruit, we're looking for the bloom, or we're looking for, in this case, we've got actually some little cherry tomatoes. So we want to go ahead. We know that we can keep coming up because we don't want to top this plant. If we completely top it, it'll stop its growth. So we make our way up, and then what do we see coming out? And usually they're going to be right here, what I would call the crotch of this plant, right in that section. You can see we have a sunleaf, and what do we have right here? A very large sucker. So we're making our way all the way up to the top. We're finally now getting to the top of this plant where we go, okay, we don't want to top it and mess its growth up. We want to make sure that we get that sucker. And if we notice right here, we see coming out of that side shoot or that sucker right there, you can see we have one. And so what lets us know that was okay? If we look, we come up and there's the fruit. We can see it right there. Usually, as we come to the top, I'll leave this alone for about a week because probably right there is a new little sucker that's coming. But in case something gets broken up here, it gives a chance for this plant to continue on if something happened to it stop. But if you look very closely, you can actually see a little fruit set right there. So we don't want to top this plant. So that's it. That's basically how you come in with indeterminate tomatoes and prune them. I'm going to give you one little bonus tip. Sometimes something will happen that will top these plants. And I was always told if they're ever topped, that's the end of them. They're not going to grow any further tall. There is a hack and a way around that. For example, this plant right here, the top of it was actually topped by a tomato worm, a hornworm. And I thought, well, that's going to be the end of this plant. But what it did, especially in the early stages, is it had a sucker or a side shoot that came off, and it became the main top of that plant and was able to continue on. So if you ever accidentally go too far up and prune and actually prune off the very top fruit set, don't panic. You can take one of your bottom suckers and let it continue. That's it. Try to keep this as simple as possible. You have your trellising system. Many times people will use something that looks like a clothesline to be able to trellis. In some cases, of course, you have the high tunnel. So blessings over you, your family, your garden. We always have a couple of videos you can check out that'll take you further along in this gardening process. Talk to you soon from Whirlwind Family Farm.